wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, Charlamagne the God, Jess Hilarious. Envy had to step out, man. His daughter is graduating, but we got a brother in the building. You know, you may not know his face. You might know his name, but it's good that you get to know him because, you know, a lot of things that you see that are front and center, there's people behind the scenes making a lot of those things happen. Mm-hmm. And Charles Suitt is one of those people behind the scenes making a lot of those things happening,
yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm blessed, man. I'm happy to be here.
I don't even know how to introduce you. Do I say publisher? Do I say business manager? Like, what do I say?
You say Jamaican? He has a lot of jokes.
Look. Product of the hip hop environment.
Okay.
You know, I started in the early '90s. God bless Andre Harrell. You know, I saw a video, Ralph McDaniels, and they were interviewing Andre Harrell, and he said that MCA gave him $1 million to start a record company. And I'm sitting at home. I'm a teenager. I said, they gave a nigga $1 million
in the 90s.
So no, that was the 80s. And then fast forward, I would start managing the Lost Boyz, and I had the opportunity of meeting Andre, jumping turnstiles to get to Uptown Records. The most amazing experience because there was So For Real, there was Heavy D, Mary J. Blige. Everybody's walking around on this one floor. And it was really black excellence, right? Mm-hmm. And we weren't up, but I was in the building like we were up, like in the marketing. And they were like, who, what group, what, you know? And Lost Boyz want the shiny object. You know, Andre had So For Real that was bringing all the models in, and Heavy and Mary and Jodeci. So we were the grimy Queens group, but we had to make Andre see that, you know, if you put some money into us, you know, we'll be effective. I can remember one time making 700 cassettes of Renee and about 3 weeks trying to get to him, and I just couldn't get to him. And his intern, Bobby Springsteen, called me and said, hey, Andre's coming up. You know, what you want to do? And Sugar Dice opened up his office, and I just sprinkled the cassettes all in his bathroom everywhere. And about 2 hours later, he called me and said, I get your point. Come on in. And we talked about the record.
I'm going to clean this shit up.
So going from that and then helping start Universal Records with Monty Littman and Doug Morris and Gene Riggins and Jocelyn Cooper, the great, rest in peace to Garnett Reed. We were the fastest growing record company ever. Our record was the first plaque ever at Universal. And that's the Lost Boyz album. Now platinum, went gold. And now you look at it from Drake to Nicki to
the first
Wayne,
record at Universal to go platinum?
Very first record ever. If you ask Monty Littman, who heads Universal now, he'll tell you the very first one. And then right after that, it was Crucial Conflict, and then Cash Money. The great Erykah Badu came through with Kedar Massenberg. And so we were just rolling. You know, Mark Pitts, shout out to him. We created something that's never been done and probably will never ever be done again.
I didn't realize Universal was so young.
Oh yeah, we weren't even in the current building. We were like in the same building that William Morris was, and Doug Morris was kind of walking around. Like you could get to Doug Morris then. He was just walking around, and Jocelyn and Gene and everybody. So and now look at it now. You know, I spent 8 years there, and but also it taught me that you can do all of that work, right? And leave there and you own nothing, right? So after my 8th year, I was told that they weren't renewing my contract. And I'm sitting at home and I had spent a whole year recording with a little girl named JoJo, little white girl.
Oh, snap.
Record called Leave, Get Out.
My era.
Right?
There,
so Leave, Get Out was a record that she didn't want to sing. Vincent Herbert, who's my brother, didn't really like the record. And I said, guys, we got a whole album of a little white girl singing really urban record.
And Shorty can blow.
Yeah, and she could blow, and I still love her to this day. So I found the record, recorded it with her, and I'm sitting at home with no job, and it's playing on the radio nonstop. So at that point, I said, something has to change.
Yeah.
I'm never going to work for anybody again. And my good friend Troy Carter said, Charles, you got to start calling your resources and people that you know. Yeah, Troy Carter. And so I called one of my friends, Zuri, and I said, hey, you know, what is your mom doing? I have some money saved up, and I know that she's always kind of been a royalty-based person.
Zuri is the son of Miss Patti LaBelle.
He's my best friend and my business partner. And we kind of got together and talked about it. And then I'm nervous. I had known Patti for several years, been in the house, But like to have Patti walk in your office, right, is a different thing. The security comes and she's got the mink coat and the diamonds, and she takes off her mink and sits down and says, Charles, what would you like to discuss? And I'm just like, my mind is blown. This is Patti LaBelle. So Zuri and I had done a lot of preparation. We had gone to Macy's, and we knew that Martha Stewart was one of her best friends. And we took pictures of everything Martha had, and said, Miss LaBelle, we would like to do this with you. And she said, well, Charles, how are you going to do all of that? And I said, you're Patti LaBelle. If you let us represent you, there's nobody that won't pick up the phone. And she said, Charles, let's do it. And I credit her not only, and by the way, it's her company, 100%. I credit her for not only taking the dive, but I credit her for looking at Zuri and I as the young kings that we are, and that we could pull this off, right? Patti LaBelle can get the biggest managers in the world, the biggest, and she saw something in us, and she never stops telling us that she appreciates how hard we fight and how hard we work.
I love that.
So truly grateful for her.
I want to go back to one thing. How did you connect with the Lost Boyz to be their manager? Like, why did they say, you know what, this young dude, from the hood, I want him to be our manager?
So, keeping it real, I'm not from the hood. I'm from Roosevelt, Long Island, which is no cakewalk. Anyway, but I went to college with Cheeks.
Okay.
And at that time, it was Terrence Kelly. And we played on the basketball team together. And Terrence flunked off the basketball team, right? But he used to come to every game. And he would come with like 100 cats, right? And I would never forget one time I went up to dunk the basketball at the end of a game, and this guy from CCNY kind of, swept me under, and Cheeks came out of the stands with like 50, 100 guys. And I'm like, Cheeks, no, right? But fast forward, I would move to Atlanta, and I see him coming down the hill, and I'm like, Terrence, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing in Atlanta? He said, well, I rap, and Eric Sermon is interested in signing me, and Charles, I love the way you handled yourself in college. I love the way you dress. I love the way every way about the way you went about your business, and I'm looking for a manager. So he opens up his briefcase and says, here's a book, and it's Donald Passman's Everything You Want to Know About the Music Business, or something like that. So initially I said no, but then that night I read the book, and I literally read it in one night. I read it maybe in that week 2 or 3 times, right? And I called him, I said, Cheeks, I want to do it, and then I called my brother and my partner, Todd Ellerby, Big Tiz, and I said, let's go on this journey together. And unbeknownst to me, they had a demo deal already with Uptown. Cheeks didn't even know that. Like, he was just kind of running around with Butt Naked Tim Dog and Puff and Biggie and those guys. Never knew he had a demo deal. He did the first, if you ever watched New York Undercover, the very first episode, our record comes on instantly when the very first episode. So because of that, there was a demo. I didn't know that book led me to make every mistake I ever made. In it's like the book is literally made for a white young executive. You follow this, you'll be successful, right? I made every mistake, from coming up to Uptown, complaining about the demo deal. Andre hit the button, the Muslims came. This is right when Suge had run up in there, so he had the Nation of Islam. Get this guy out of here, like literally, right? I want to, at some point, make a book about the gray area, right? Like what we experience as African Americans in the music business, what to do, what the pitfalls are. With that said, before I realized that we had a demo deal, I literally took them to I had never ever seen 2 people in the beginning. It was Cheeks and Talib, right? The 2 of them together, Freaky Tide.
Okay.
The 2 of them together was like going to church. You watch them. They literally listened to R&B. Like 12 Play was like the soundtrack of our life at that time, right? R. Kelly. And you watch the chemistry between Freaky Ty and Mr. Cheeks.
God bless the dead too.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. And what was so dope is everybody knew their role at that time. Freaky Ty he rapped, but his job was to enunciate and make you feel what Cheeks said. Like you gonna feel it. And the reason why is because, Freaky Ty was authentic. He was authentic 134. And God Brew. He was Southside's finest, right? So we went, I'll never forget, our first meeting was with the A&R that did Nas. So Nas was 16 coming out of her office at the time, and we were going in, and she was like, hey, do you know Nas? And we were like, nah, Cheeks knew him from Queens, and she handed us the album. And then we went to every A&R person in the building. We met Jermaine Dupri that day because Jermaine had heard about us. So Jermaine brought us to his hotel. We met the Brat that day, all in one day, and it got back to Andre. And Andre said, lawyer up, because you're signed to Uptown Records and you should not be. And I'm like, how do you know? Oh, we know everything. Get your butt up here. And we did. And Andre did the right thing, took the guys shopping. And at that point, it was, work on the album, Easy Mo B.
I always wondered why they didn't sign the Bad Boy. I always felt like Lost Boyz was such a bad boy group.
Well, to be honest with you, when Puff and Andre separated, he had to make a choice, right? And his choice was Total, Biggie, Craig Mack, right? Andre wasn't letting you take everything.
Oh, because all of them was under?
Well, kind of, sort of. Yeah. Tim Dog, who's the A&R, was a protege of Puff's. Puff was a protege of Andre. I was a protege of. A lot of people think I learned everything from Puff. I didn't. Tim Dog Patterson kind of taught me everything from soup to nuts. And there was a limit to what Andre was going to let him take. And I'll be honest, in the very beginning, I don't believe Andre knew what the Lost Boyz were until we put out Lifestyles and the Rich and Shameless and the Dance.
Classic.
So that's how I became their manager, and we went on to 10 years of success. And then as relationships go, you kind of part ways, and his aunt wound up managing him after Freaky Tide died. And after about a year that, he said, Suitt, come to Miami, I want to talk to you. And we sat down, and he said, Suitt, can you please come back? And I said, there's no way I wouldn't. You're my brother. You put me, and it was never a bad breakup. You put me in the game. And I said, Cheeks, if I come back, we got to go back to Mr. Sex and Bink Dog and all of those Easy Mo B. And we did, and Lights, Camera, Action came about. And that was a big record.
That's the joint right there.
Did you die at the end of the Renee video? Because I don't know if y'all realize. Go back and watch the Renee video. This is the guy who Mr. Cheeks kills. I don't know if he kills him, but in the lobby.
Yeah, true story. The game, when I said it's the game, kid, that came from a demo that Cheeks did. And it was called The Game, The Money, The Bitches, and The Cars. And I remember, so it just came to me, right? That was Biggie's. People don't realize Big, Lost Boyz, Junior Mafia, Jay-Z, and Dame were on the road every weekend together. Lost Boyz was Big's favorite group. So everything that happened in his life, we were there. After the Soul Train thing, we were in the van going to radio at Charlotte, and he was telling us what happened, and then C's did this, and C's did. Every time I see C's be like, yo, Big was like, yo, when you say it's the game, it's the game. So I killed him. That's our story. That's our story.
No, I
he
thought
would say he
Mr.
killed
Cheeks
me.
walks out,
it was
though.
to be continued. He threw me down on the ground. I pulled out of my coat. He pulled out. Click, click, and it said to be continued. So in my version of it, I killed him. In his version, I killed him. So we never had a chance to do part two.
Wow.
Okay. But now you're up here for books. You laid a lot of books out too. So you're a publisher of 13A Books.
13A.
How did you started in music? Obviously loved it very heavily, and then you became a publisher. How did you transition into books?
So again, in life, you don't get anywhere by yourself. You might have that but there's always people. So there's a woman named Karen Hunter who I don't know if you guys are familiar with. She has her own brilliant woman who asked me to manage her. After I also managed Salt and Pepper, and she was ghostwriting Pepper's book. So we had a
Wendy
meeting.
Williams' book too.
Yep, she did Wendy Williams' book. So she asked me to manage her, and after about 6 months of managing, I realized there was no pathway to really make money managing a writer. So I said, in my business, which is music, with the success she's had, at that time she had written 7 New York Times bestsellers, we get our own. And she said, Charles, well, they will never give an African-American their own imprint, and definitely not a female. So I said, well, give me same thing like Patti. Well, give me a name or a number. And the name she gave me was Carolyn Reedy. She said, I don't like publishers at all, but if I had to be at one publisher, it would be Simon & Schuster and Carolyn Reedy. So I called Carolyn, who passed away, rest in peace to Carolyn Reedy, and she was on vacation. 2 weeks later, she called me. I pick up, she says, Charles, this is Carolyn Reedy. And I was like, who? And she said, you called me. She's the chairman of Simon & Schuster. And I had 2 seconds to get it together. And I said, Miss Reedy, oh my God, thank you so much. Karen Hunter has made you so much money over the years. We like to come in and talk about publishing our own books because we understand what our people want to read. And she said, Charles, you're right. Karen has made us tons of money. Come on in. Karen and I went in. I stood up in front of a bunch of white folks. And Charlamagne understands this because he has his own imprint at the same place. And I said, you guys think that black people don't read. We do. We read a lot. You guys don't know how to make books appetizing.
Yeah.
And glasses flew off, and it's a whole room full of white folks that and
it is true.
Carolyn said, well, how would you do it? And I gave them a couple of suggestions, and they were like, man, it sounds so doable. So she said, how do we make a deal happen? I said, well, my lawyer, David Kokakis, who now runs Universal Music Publishing, is right outside that door. And she called her lawyer, and we got a deal done. So after we came downstairs, Karen said, Charles, I want to do this together. I know you did this for me, but I'd like you to be my partner. And we did it again, that number 8. We did it for 8 years. And after about 8 years, it was kind of time for me to kind of wave in the Karen Hunter flag, because although we were equal partners, we called it Karen Hunter Publishing. And I was ready ready to do it my own way, bring in my own content. And, we made a decision that it was time. For me to I went out and I worked with another publisher for about a year, and I thought that publisher was crazy, and I circled back, and they were more than happy to say, come on back, let's do it. What's your vision? What do you want to do? So 13A stands for the 13th Amendment that says slavery is illegal. So it's kind of a haiku. We went from it being illegal to read to owning our imprint. And not everybody Charlamagne owns his, right? Not everybody that says they own their imprint. I own mine. You go into Simon & Schuster and you look at the office. I spent a lot of money. My office looks different than anybody's, right? Yeah. Like I own 100% of the name, the likeness. I do not get a salary from Simon & Schuster. I'm up there 3 times a week because I believe in what I'm doing. My bread and butter comes from the Patti LaBelle group, but books are a passion. I feel like it's a way to get information, and you don't necessarily have to read a page anymore. You can go on Audible and you can listen to a book. Right. There's no way. I remember having Kanye up at Simon & Schuster, and I know he loves Steve Jobs, and the first thing I did was handed him a book this thick, and I said, Kanye, this is for you. I know you're a huge fan. He said, no disrespect, but I'm never going to read that. He said, I love Steve Jobs. He's like Jesus to me. He said, but look how thick that book is. And I understood what he meant.
I get it, but damn.
Yeah. So the Obama book, I'm a huge Obama fan, but his book was so I listened to it. Yeah. Right? Every chance I got, in the shower, in the car, every chance I got, and I could not stop listening to it.
I did both. You know what I did? Because we had to interview him that Monday, and I think I started reading it on the previous Tuesday, so I put the Audible on 1.5. Bless you, and I read the book as I was listening to it.
Oh man, that's dope. I never thought about that. Yeah. That's dope. I'm so man, when I look at you, Charlamagne, and I'll never forget. So he's been the same person. I met him at Wendy Williams, but I really officially met him in a grocery store in Jersey. And I just went up to him. I said, "Hey, and he wasn't here. He was still with Wendy." And his personality was the same then as it is now. People have no idea how much time you give back, how much you do for people. They just think, oh, he's, successful and on the radio. He gives so much time and positive energy. I was working on a book. Charlamagne came to my office to do an interview like it was nothing, Amazing. And you, again, from the city of Baltimore, I'm just blown away. And I think that the reason why it works is because people look at you as themselves, right? They could have brought in some huge person. They brought in a person that was relatable, and it was really smart. And I listen to you guys every morning.
Thank you.
You're super relatable. You talk about what you're going through, and you're funny.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Stop blushing. I want to talk about some of the books you've published so far, man, with 13A. Right? Deion Sanders' book, which is a New York Times bestseller.
Yep. Powerful.
Stephen A was the first one. You got Stephen A over there?
Stephen A was
the first one.
Stephen A set it off, and he's a complex person, and he's not apologetic for who he is, and I think he's really misunderstood. Him going and doing interviews at Fox News, he's doing that for a purpose because they have a bigger audience.
Yeah.
And there's certain guidelines when you're at Fox News that you kind of got to go by. But, he doesn't kowtow. He says how he feels. And I think he's misunderstood as it relates to what he's saying about Biden. He's not saying that he wants Trump to win, right? And believe, Stephen, if you're listening, I'm not speaking for you. But all my authors I have a close relationship with, right? What he's saying is, could the Democratic Party have chosen someone else?
Yeah.
Great. He did 4 years, right? Yeah. But he is clearly older, right? And is there somebody else out there that could, and he's an independent, but could wave the Democrat flag? And the Democrats were unable to do it. I'm not voting for Trump. There's nothing in my body that would allow me to vote for him at all. And I remember the Trump that was sending us to Atlantic City on his helicopter and all of that, right? Trump will do anything to win. He doesn't care if he's not even a Republican. He's a Democrat, right? So I don't want to talk politics. I'm sorry. I didn't come up here for that. But Stephen A. is super complex. I was happy to publish his book because he came from humble beginnings. He was fired and then rehired. And then he came from a family that was kind of broken up, with his father kind of out doing his own thing, raised by his sister Carmen and his other sisters and his mom. So it's a great American story. All of these stories, from Pinky to Dion, these aren't just black stories. These are American stories. And my job is to tell a story. I'm no different than Kenya Barris or Spike Lee or any of these filmmakers. My goal is to tell our stories. Italians have been telling their stories for 60 years. We've been watching and idolizing the Italian. When are we going? Ours is the greatest story ever.
That's right.
Ours is the greatest story never really told. The only stories that we're telling are slavery. And oh my God, there's stories hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. One of my favorite movies is Book of Clarence. That is probably the most accurate story ever told about biblical times.
Amazing.
And we laugh about it. So 13A, our goal is to tell our stories and make them enjoyable. I have a book with Allen Iverson coming next year, who I've known. Wallow's coming in September. When I tell you Wallow's story and who he is, it's real, how hard he works, right? I wish I could tell you who did his forward, but he called me from the person's house, in the house. Yo, Suitt, he still gets excited with all his success and all the money and everything. Suitt, I'm here, da 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 da. And then the next day, it was a handwritten forward. He sent it to me, and then the next day he had his assistant transcribe it, right? And the book is just so real. If you're from the hood, you're gonna love it because he's telling his story of growing up with a family who indulged in crime. And he did it because it was what everybody did. But he's also talking about his transformation and the fact that he carried a gun, right? But he knew in his mind he didn't have the capacity to shoot anybody or kill anybody. Yeah. So it's that story, and then him waiting. It was almost like, when you see a boxer and the bell's about to ring and they're just like this, he was like that, just waiting to get out. And he couldn't wait. And he's doing great things. I'm happy to publish that book because there's so many messages in it, so many things that he went through that he's trying to get you to not go through it. And as you know, he tells you, love our women, flower your girls, and all that stuff. So Wallow was real. I have a book with Nia Long coming. That book, oh my God, it reads like Boyz in the Hood. I mean, she is just, she's genius. She's smart. None of it is calculated. She's just when you read that and you feel like you're reading a movie, from 4 years old to current, right? And she's standing up for women. She's standing up for racial inequality in Hollywood. She's standing up for her family and what happened with the Boston Celtics. Yeah. Just all of that stuff. And I'm honored to that she chose me. Everybody wanted that book, and I looked at her and I said, sister, you are one of our queens, and I got you. I'm not going to let nothing happen to you. And she felt that. She walked out. She didn't let me know that, and then that was like a Thursday, and she called me on. And I want to say thank you to BJ and Mike Kaiser. Literally after she left my meeting, she went to have lunch with them, and I called, BJ had called me, Murder Inc. BJ, and no,
they FaceTime me from that table, by the way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
did they?
Yeah.
So it's funny, you know, I pride myself. I learned so much from the great Andre Harrell, but I pride myself in learning from everybody. And Doug Morris always taught me return phone calls, right? So BJ had called me like the day before. So after the Nia Long meeting, I looked at my call log and I called BJ back. And I said, B, yo, I apologize. What's going on? Sue, where you at? I'm at Noble with Nori and Kaiser and Nia Long. I said, Nia Long, she just left my office.
Yeah.
Nia, get over here. Yo, you just left. They were drunk. You just left. And she was like, oh my God, yes. And she got on the phone. She said, Charles, take my number. And we spoke all weekend. And she told her agent, I'm going with him. And we got it done. Publishing Nori. I can't wait.
Nori book,
Nori's book is coming. I can't wait.
I love how you
you're
really like careful and passionate about their stories. Like you don't just see these people as money,
That's
or
right.
like just because of who they are,
Or fame,
you know,
right.
like no, this is gonna make money. Like you seem so like into their story and being able to tell it from their standpoint.
And
like,
if Charles wasn't there, those stories wouldn't
Wouldn't
get
be
told.
told.
Like
Yeah.
people don't understand that in these publishing companies. No, these people are icons to us, but they not looking at Nori. They not looking at Wallow. They not paying attention. They're not paying attention to our culture.
And it's strategic. So after the success, I was able to sign Nori after the success of Stephen A. Right? I just went in the meeting. Hey, there's somebody else I need to sign right now.
That's right.
Who is it? Nori. Of course, nobody in that room knew. Oh, okay, well you. Sign them, let's go.
Right.
You know, so that's strategically. Same thing with Wallow. You know, it's always after the success of something, I go in. I'm working with Cameron now. Cameron's story is crazy. And it's not just hip hop and it's not just men. I mean, Pinky Cole, you know, is from Baltimore, but she had a story. She's an entrepreneur.
She really
She
does.
came from a family that was doing some things in Baltimore. And she created this empire. So I want to tell our stories. I'm happy to be that conduit. And a part of it is I was adopted at age 3, right? So I don't know who my birth parents are. And my story is a good story. It wasn't the woe is me and foster homes and abuse and all that. It was literally when I was 3 years old, 2 parents came along who wanted to have a son in their life, and I was blessed. And I feel like my life has been blessed and ordained by God. So my mom used to tell me, they never hid that I was adopted, and they said there's 2 ways you can go. You can go this way and use this as a crutch for being adopted, or you can go on and do great things. And you know, I pride myself on trying to do the right thing and do great things. So, you know, my mission is to tell our stories. From Patti LaBelle, I published Janis Jackson, I published Kris Jenner, which Kris Jenner was, I mean, to get that book was. No one saw that coming, to tell her story. And, you know, we'd go years later and, you know, I'd say, you know, when I tell people that I published, you know, wow, Kris Jenner's white. How did you get that book? And Kris would say, Charles, I'm a Kardashian. What would they expect? But, I mean, she welcomed me in her house, like, instantly. This is before she really blew. She said, Charles, can you fly? And I was like, really? And Kim was running around and Bruce Jenner at the time was running around, and she was the first one to tell me that, look, you know, I believe OJ did it. And initially I looked at her like, you know, why would she tell me this? She said, I can say that because he was my brother. She's like, I spent every vacation with OJ. He was like family to me. But I know the relationship that Nicole and Henry. So that's her belief. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
And you know, it's interesting, right? Because you know, me and Charles are both at Simon & Schuster with he's got 13A, I got black privilege. We don't step on each other
At all.
Like if somebody said, like if they say, "Yo, no, are you doing a book?" and somebody says, "Yeah, but 13A doing it," I don't even.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to outbid him on anything
At all.
You
And
know?
we talk. I know what he got coming. He's taught. And I don't say a word. He got some great books coming. Oh my God! Not just his. He got some that I'm going to buy. We talk about it, and that's the beauty. Like it's competitive. I'm not going to say it's not competitive, but it's not competitive against one another, right? Like I've told him all the books I've gotten. I tell him what I'm going after, and he'll say, "Okay, that's a good." He tells the people that I'm going after, do it with Suitt. He doesn't say, "Nah, do it with me." Yo, Nori, do that with Suitt.
Yeah.
That's he. You know, so it's a beautiful thing, and it's you know, it's a blessing with all these beefs going on around in rap. Like, y'all could really work together instead of doing all of that negativity. Yeah, at first it's fun and it's cute. You know, I was involved in the LL cannabis beef. You know, I signed cannabis, which Charlamagne said that it wasn't a real big beef, but it was at the time because LL was the GOAT at the time, right? And cannabis was that young lion. And
I got cannabis in the top 10 disc records. I said that to somebody yesterday because I saw Elliot Wilson put out the top 10 disc records of all time. And I was like, I feel like Second Round Knockout should be up there.
Oh, man, that record, I'm going to let the world know the truth. You don't want me to shine. You study. Oh, my God. He played it for me. He was in Europe, and I advised him not to do it when it all happened. I said, yo, Biss, you know. And by the way, I saw L like last week at the F1 in Miami. I'm on the side of the stage. He looked at me a few times and smiled. We never had any beef, right? That was a beef that could have been crazy. I mean, cannabis ran with Haitian Jack, Ricky Lee, Scooter, all of those folks, right? And L had Bimmy and South Jim, you know, he had his crew, and it never really went there. It was two people that the beef was dumb, and L will admit at he has admitted that it was kind of his fault. You know, it didn't have to go down the way it went down. Cannabis looked up to L, and the rhyme he wrote initially was after sitting with L for like hours and talking about the tattoo in his arm and saying like, I don't have any tattoos. Like L, like if I got, and L says, shorty, if you want to get, you represent that. You can get it. So that his whole rap was giving honor to L, and L kind of came in the studio and heard it and just, he went crazy, you know? So and on top of that, after I found out about it, Eric Sermon called me and told me about it, called Cannabis, told him, they spoke again. And L said, yo, if you change your rhyme, I'll change mine. Cannabis came to the studio, changed his rhyme.
Grown man.
Asked me, you know, and L put the record out anyway. And at that point, there's nothing I could do about it. I mean, we went to, even after Cannabis had been freestyling the record still wasn't out. We still went to visit L in LA, went on the set of his sitcom, everything. We were trying to really bring this together. And it just had gotten to a point where they shot the video without him, and Cannabis was like, yo, Suitt, man, you know, I got to do this. And he went and did it, and I was blown away.
LL got him back, though.
I don't think he got him back. He won the war. No, I'm not going to see everybody says that.
Ripper strikes back.
No, that can't mess with, that couldn't, look, LL won the war clearly, right? He had all of the power and muscle of Def Jam, who had been doing this longer than us, right? He did not win the battle. That's my opinion. Okay. His record was better, but he won the war. He had more money, more everything, and L is a legend.
But what did you think when you heard Cannabis tell LL, you don't got the skills to eat a nigga's ass like me?
See, that was before.
Who said that?
That was before. he said that. That was before all of this stuff that's going around now.
Why you look so disgusted, Jeff?
We knew what he meant. He just meant rapping. He meant rapping that he was better than him. So we knew. You knew what that meant then.
And also the Patti products, right? Patti got the pancake mix and everything out now.
Yep.
And I saw Master P recently. He said in an interview that Patti LaBelle only owns 10% of her Patti's pies.
Right.
You've worked with her.
Yeah.
How much truth is in that statement?
So I want to say this respectfully, right? Master P is out of his mind, right? So he has this thing called a master class, and in order to teach a master class, you should have done your research, right? So he claimed that Patti's pies are up front because Walmart owns the pie. Walmart does not own anything. They own 0% of the pie. What it is that the bakery itself, if you walk into any Walmart, the bakery is the first thing you see. We are at the back of the bakery, right? And it's strategic for Walmart to do that because when a customer comes through, they're looking for the pie, right? And their goal is like, while they're looking for the pie, they might pick up some cookies and who knows before they get to the pie. He also stated that he did his research and he got stuff from Forbes 50 over 50. You don't make the Forbes 50 over 50 owning 10% of a company. She wouldn't even been on the list. Forbes did their own research. Business Week did their own research. She owns 100%. What we did do as a owner you strategically make different partnerships. So what she did do is 5 of her items are exclusive to Walmart on a handshake because they have 4,800 stores in their high volume. There's no contract. On a handshake, Walmart buys the pie from us, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think Master P mentioned the person who bought the pie in. Yes, there are buyers, just like there's A&Rs at every record company, that called us and said, hey, Miss LaBelle, I Googled you, and when I Google you, mac and cheese comes up and sweet potato pie comes up. Do you have a sweet potato pie? And we were ready. And this is a lesson to all the young folks. You got to be ready. We were ready. We had our business set up, and we said yes. And we approached the factory, and the factory, we have factories going almost 24 hours a day making that pie. She employs hundreds and hundreds of people. And we don't just have the pie. We have cobblers. We have mac and cheese. We have collard greens. We have pasta dishes. And oh, by the way, we're not only just in Walmart. We're in Kroger. We're in Target. We're in Ahold. We're in Rouse. We're all over the country. We are a nationwide brand. So it was extremely reckless of Master P to say that. I understand his point. He's suing Walmart now because he feels like his product isn't being promoted or upfront.
What do you think about that?
There's a point. He has a point, right? But what the consumer needs to understand is that Walmart is a real estate company. All they're selling is real estate. They're selling space in their store, right? And when you have companies like Kraft and you name a Pepsi and Coke and Tropic, all these big companies, they're buying that space. So when a black company comes along, 9 times out of 10, they don't have the money to, but we don't have the money to buy that space. We don't have Coca-Cola money, right? So they take a chance on young, up-and-coming companies like they took a chance on us. We hit. They took a chance on us. We hit. And by the way, and shout out to James Chanel Wright, my brother, who blew up the pie. It was selling before that, right? So when they called us, they had a sweet potato pie. It was selling 4, 5, 6 pies per store per week, right? When we went in, we immediately went up to 10 pies per. So that's a success. If the video never would have happened, but that video obviously made it infamous, and I'm super grateful for James and what he did, and it was organic. He loved, people don't understand, he loved Patti LaBelle. And as a matter of fact, thanks for reminding me, the pie really popped off. Now Charlamagne's gonna probably try to get in my pockets, but the pie really took off because I brought the pie up I called him, I said, can I bring this pie up? Just let you taste it. So I gave him about 4 or 5 pies, and he posted it. When he posted it, Charlamagne posted it. Because look, he's looking like, So when he posted it, James saw that post and went to Walmart, came back, and it's because he loved Patti. He had been to almost every show when she came into town, and that was his ode to her. You know, and on top of that, immediately, not when it went viral, immediately she was in overseas somewhere. Her security guard hit him on Facebook and said, hey, I saw the video. Like, here's my number. And they started talking. I want you to, before it blew, I want you to come to my house for Thanksgiving because she was just so blown away. She is at a place now that she is so humble, right? We just got back from Atlanta and we did 2 in-store shinings at Kroger's. Just pulled up. She said, Charles, I want to go to some Kroger's, and hundreds of people found out she was into word spread and she just signed boxes. That's who she is. So the audacity, I love that woman, man. So the audacity of Master P, and what hurt me so bad is that when he did it, there was a guy in the classroom that said he bought the pie because it's my sister, it's a black woman. And he was like, you mean she don't own the pie? And then all the comments that were coming in, Patti, I'm never buying that pie again. Patti don't even own it. That is a lie, people. She owns 100%. If you want to know, call Walmart and they'll tell you that. They buy the pie from us and then they sell it. They buy it from us at a wholesale price and then sell it at a retail price.
And where did P even get that from? Where did he get that?
I don't know. I mean, I get what he was trying to say, like Patti's pies are up front. Well, they're up front because the bakery's up front. And the only reason why it's doing well is because it's up front. Well, no, we're in the back of the bakery. You got to go through the whole bakery to find her pies or cobblers. We have puddings. And now I proclaim today Patti LaBelle is the queen of breakfast. So this right here is our pancake mix. And, you know, the whole thing with pearl milling and Aunt Jemima is when it was created in the 1800s, it was created to really celebrate black people, right? It wasn't created in a bad way. What happened is they never updated, right, who a black woman is. A black woman now is an icon, right? She's a grandmother, she's an aunt, she's a sister, and I feel like this is what a black woman represents. And oh, by the way, this stuff is good. I mean, this stuff is so good, and it's organic. Patti's had best-selling cookbooks for 30 years. She's cooked on Oprah. She was the most visited guest on Oprah ever. She got voted best mac and cheese. This is not no like, yo, let me go out and this is real.
It's organic.
It's organic. Everybody wants to come to Patti's house and eat because she loves to cook almost as much as done that. Almost as much as she loves to sing and entertain. Yes, Charlamagne has been there.
Yes.
So everybody, please go out and support. You know, we've gone to Essence and Patti's fed 40,000 people, right? Yeah. And people overwhelmingly say, "Oh my God, this is good. Why would I buy pearl milling or who anybody else is making it when Patti LaBelle, my sister, makes the same product, right?" And oh, by the way, she gives back so much. During the pandemic, we gave pallets and pallets of pies to all the health workers. We have photos of just delivering the pies. Patti is, you know, she's of that age, and she put on her mask and went with us and delivered to the hospitals in Philadelphia every Thanksgiving, to the food banks, out of her own pocket, right? So there's not only, yes, it's a successful company, and you should want it to be successful the same way Jay-Z is successful with Ace of Spade and all his products. Patti LaBelle should be held at a certain place because she started a company at 60 years old. She employs hundreds and hundreds of people. And oh, by the way, she gives back. And we make great products. And we're everywhere. If you're buying pancake mix, this is the one. I promise you, this is the best pancake mix you're ever gonna taste. It tastes like cake. You're gonna be like, oh my goodness, we have syrups and just everything. So support Patti LaBelle. Damn. We're trying to do what I'm doing in book publishing. Bring our culture into stores. I am blessed to be able to text and talk to Doug McMillon, who's the CEO of Walmart. Even when they make a mistake, they did something that was crazy for Juneteenth. And I texted him like, dude, what are you doing? And he said, Charles, believe it or not, it was a black employee who suggested it. Yeah, take that down. Don't do that.
Straight sold him out.
So yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. But,
you know what I'm saying?
No, he sold the guy.
Oh, yeah, he sold him out. Yeah,
it was one of yours.
But to be able to be able to get in touch with the CEO of Walmart and Target and have these conversations. And oh, by the way, we started a company called ZPac where we're bringing in other developing, and one of the companies that we bought into retail is Brooklyn Chop House and Brooklyn Dumpling Shop. Yeah. And it's
and Cardi too, right? Cardi's whipped cream?
Cardi's whip shops were already in, but we've helped her promote. We've called Walmart and helped her get into more stores. Yeah. Angela Yee's Coffee, we work with her at Target. But specifically, it's a beautiful story. I've known Don Pooh for 30 years, and shout out to Don Pooh Cummings. We worked with him, got Brooklyn Dumpling Shop into Walmart's and now Stu Leonard's and ShopRite's. He then circled back and gave back to us. The dumpling shop is going public. We have shares in the dumpling shop. Also, we have equity in the parent company of the dumpling shop. And he didn't necessarily have to do that, and he did with no question. He said, Charles, we appreciate what you did for your partner. We're going public, we're doing this, so we want to give you these shares and this equity. So Patti is working with Kevin O'Leary, who's a partner in it as well. You're going to see a lot of stuff with them promoting together. But again, it's hip-hop, and it's the beauty of hip-hop. I've known Don Pooh since Biggie and Foxy Brown, so for us to be working together in this way, his other partner, Dave Thomas, shout out to him. So we're all working together, and it's a beautiful thing. Go out. I'm telling you, this pancake mix right now, it's in Kroger, Nationwide, Rouse, tons of other stores. You're not going to regret it. It's an amazing product, and I'm so proud of it.
And go get Deion Sanders' book.
So happy to
Deion, Wallow's coming in September.
Go get Pinky.
I can't wait to get Wallow book. I'm really excited.
Wallow's is exciting, and shout out to Wallow. Shout out to Gilly as well. Shout out to Nori.
I think Wallow's available for pre-order now, right?
It's pre-order. Yep, go to his page and you can pre-order it. Thank you guys for having me. I'm not famous, but I'm up here, and thank you for having me up here. And it's an honor and a pleasure. And Envy, I don't take it for granted. I used to see his son Logan all the time in high school, and I know Envy since he was 16 years old.
Wow.
He used to come up to my office with his, I need a song, for his mixtape. So
did you think he was black?
I questioned whether he was black. I thought I didn't know what he was.
At 16, I was
like, whoa, what is this guy?
Another Spanish DJ? But nah, Charles Suitt, man, you should be celebrated. And like I said earlier, people need to see the folks behind the scenes that are making, the people in front of the camera look good, man. So because a lot of these things don't happen without you. So
thank you so much.
That's right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's Charles Suitt. It's The Breakfast Club.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.